Order this December meeting of our Glendale Village Council. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Madam Clerk, it appears to me that we have a quorum. Will you concur?
I confirm the presence of a quorum.
Thank you. And there is an agenda before council that was circulated prior to the meeting. Any questions or suggested changes to the agenda? Hearing none. We'll move to approval of minutes from the November 3rd meeting. Those minutes were circulated. Is there a motion to approve minutes from November 3?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay. Our first order of business tonight is what is being termed the badge pinning ceremony for Fire Chief Scott Lerman. The chief was actually sworn in a few weeks ago so that he could proceed with chief duties immediately after his selection. But this evening we wanted to go through more of a ceremonial swearing in, and I think we'll just go through the entire swearing in process so everyone can see it, even though it's redundant with what's already been done. So Chief, if you would step to the front here, and whoever's going to put that badge on you, would you have them come up with you as well? Yes, sir. All right.
His dad.
We want to keep the meeting short, please. So at this point, we would normally move to the public comment section of our meeting. For those who would like to stay for that, that's fine, but I might give it about 30 seconds or a minute for the room to clear for those who are just here for Scott. You're welcome.
Thank you.
At some point, you think the meeting. Right. And you want the pen just for me. Yeah. Oh, if you need that.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, if I might start playing, just stay away. Yeah.
Okay.
Or not stay away, but just, yeah. Just hang that, we can play hang, but, you know, I probably won't do that. That one might be.
Yes, there were a lot of folks from the village. That's great.
Did you read those?
And kids, too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our buddies with Quinn.
Plus, yeah, where they were at fire camp.
Yeah, or fire camp, yes. I'll bet there was some from fire camp. I figured it would take a minute or two for them to all get down the stair. It's funny, we have two stairwells, but everybody's on one.
Closer to the fire.
Oh, it could be.
Wow.
Okay, moving on. Is there anyone here this evening that wishes to address council? Looks like for one for sure. Mr. Parrish?
Hello, my name is Kevin Parrish, 176 Washington Avenue. Council should have a packet in front of them saying Phase 1 Sanitary Sewer Reduction Project, Village of Glendale. That packet is a copy of, coming from the archives of our administrative building. The first page, Phase 1, is a map and focus on Cole Avenue. At that time, it was discovered that Cole Avenue was 100% blocked and that that street was marked for pipe replacement. The total project cost was $199,500. The next page, the administrator is hereby authorized to award the contract to the Instruform Technologies Company. The next page, Phase 1, detailed example of one of the totally corroded lines on Cole Avenue. Next page, multiple detailed photos of corroded lines on Cole Avenue, reinforcing that the lines originally scheduled for sleeves are totally corroded and unable to be replaced by sleeving. Next page. Preparing to do the work of putting sleeves on pipes, but are unable to replace the lines due to the corroded condition of the lines. And the last page, detailed example of one of the line prepping of the totally replaced Cole Avenue to be totally replaced for discovering that the pipes couldn't be sleeved, but needed to be, quote unquote, totally replaced. This was before the project started. And during the first week when these guys started, and evidently there's one correction to that, this packet. Donnelly was the one, that was the subcontractor that was doing the work on Cole Avenue. They had no clue of what they were going to discover until they uncovered these pipes. But to get straight to the point, the lie that the mayor's been telling for the last 8 years is a lie. It's fabricated. I don't know who changed the demographics of what was supposed to happen, but on the first page, on the design, Cole was supposed to be replaced, not an attempt to sleeve it. That was never in the picture. How do you sleeve pipes in this kind of condition? It's impossible. So I'm just confused at why, when you knew 8 years ago of what was going on, because the current mayor was a council member before he became mayor. So he was privileged to knowing that what he's been perpetrating, this lie, and now that the pipes and the work was not done, a conspiracy with the Instruform Company and Talivac to deceive the public.
You have about a minute.
False information to the DEFA committee, the Ohio EPA DEFA committee, submit that information and saying that this was done. Talivac says that they afterwards did the scoping of the pipe afterwards. How do you scope a pipe that's totally blocked to say that it was 286 feet that you completed? It's impossible. So, Mayor, you know it's a lie, been known it's a lie, and been perpetrating that lie. This packet that you had shows that it was a lie. You never did replace the pipes on Cole. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to address council?
Okay, even though some of the council members will be leaving and new council members will be installed, I wanted to address council in hopes we can plan for some changes in 2026. Number one, we need to have a backup plan for when machines break down. We cannot have brush piled around the village for over a month and not find a solution to remove it. I know Glendale is never going to be the same as it was when I was growing up here, but I think there is still so much potential in what can be done around Glendale to promote it and visually improve it. I feel like when I have concerns with things in Glendale, I have been met with an excuse for why it isn't being done or it can't be done. I feel that things have become acceptable, and I'm not sure why this has happened. We have residents who pick up trash on a regular basis, volunteer to paint, clean up the green belts, etc. Our beautiful gardens are planted and maintained by the garden clubs in Glendale. We need to have our entrances to the village decorated like other communities. It would make such a difference. I would like to propose a volunteer committee that would meet to come up with ideas for what can be done to beautify Glendale. The committee would be residents of Glendale who would like to participate. Anyone would be welcome. My hope is we could operate under one of the current council members, or one of the council members, and we could cut through the red tape and get some things accomplished. Thank you.
Cindy, can you introduce yourself
Oh.
and say where you live on the mic, please? Thank you.
Sorry,
Is it-
forgot that part. Cindy Hallbauer Taylor, and I grew up here. I just see things that, and I talk with all the other people that grew up here too, and we know it's never going to be the same, but there's so much potential, and I just feel like it's always working uphill, you know? There's so many things that can be done, and it just is very frustrating to a lot of us. So I don't like to complain unless I come up with some kind of solution. I just think if we could get people on board, and it would be welcome to anybody. We're not going to appoint people, we're not going to do all that. People who really want to help. When you pull into the village, it looks bad. You know, I was just up at Liberty Center the other day, and they had just, you know, containers with some greens and candy canes or ornaments, and it just looks nice. And it wouldn't be that hard to do, and you have people who will volunteer. It's always been that way. They've painted the, you know, gas lights. They've hung greenery and ribbons on the gas lights. They, you know, we have to realize that we don't have a lot here except for the people and the beauty that we do have. So we need to maintain what we have and improve it. You know, I mean, I probably am around this village more than anyone, and showing houses and, you know, selling Glendale. And I just think we do a really poor job of promoting ourselves. And so I just propose that we come up with some kind of committee to work under someone so we can actually accomplish some things rather than have it always be on the wayside. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council? Okay. I did want to just briefly, before our next thing will be an executive session, but before we break, I appreciate the presentation. I want to defer to David again that the pipes were repaired over in at Cole Avenue, and there was a scoping done that showed that the pipes were in good order at that point.
The pipes were replaced through a
Okay.
method called pipe bursting,
Pipe bursting. okay?
and was a new PVC pipe for the 200 and some feet, 280 some feet that were replaced. And we have televac records, photographs from them inspecting that pipe to prove that new PVC was installed
Okay.
along Cole Avenue.
And
in
those
the
records
project.
are available and were made available to,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that work was done. I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but I just wanted to clarify that so that everyone
correct.
understands that work was done. All right. At this point, we're going to go into an executive session to consider the hiring and compensation of public employees and officials pursuant to ORC 121.22G1. Is there a motion to move?
Mayor.
to- Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to read the full provision,
The full
and I can go ahead and do that.
Yes, if you would,
If someone
please.
wants to make a motion under revised code 121.22G1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Okay. So is there a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Is this a roll call or just a voice vote?
Roll call.
Roll call?
please. Yeah.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
To move to executive session, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemith. Aye. Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. So at this point, I guess at council's discretion, we can move downstairs to chambers, or we could ask that the members of the public dismiss themselves.
How would moving, I guess we
There we
can't
go.
be on
Wait.
camera anyway.
They-
Should we
they're-
go
they're-
downstairs? I think we should go to
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back in our regular meeting session. Are we all set with ICRC? Yes, thank you. Okay, so,
Mayor- Mayor, we have to have a motion and second and roll call to return from executive session.
okay. So is there a motion to return to move out of executive session or move to the regular meeting?
To move out of executive session.
Okay,
I make a motion to move out of executive session.
Second.
okay. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
To come out of executive session, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemith. Aye. Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on then with the rest of our meeting, the reports. The mayor's report, there were no births reported. There were 3 deaths reported. Marty Piazza, October 9th, age 73. Robert Kyle, or as we know him, Rob Keeler, passed on November 17th, age 62, after a long battle with cancer. And Ray Bo Davidson passed on November 15th at the age of 71. Can we have a moment of silence for those individuals? May they rest in peace. In the month of November, the fire department held their annual pancake breakfast. It was very well attended. That was on November 15th, and they were able to raise a good amount of money through the sale of pancakes and a silent auction that they had. Coming up will be the Glendale Holiday Home Tour presented by Harry Whiting Brown. That is on December the 6th. And in addition to some homes, I think our fire station and new fire truck are on the tour. So that will be a nice addition for that tour. And then Glendale Christmas in the Village will be Saturday, December 13th. That's our annual celebration we've had for about 18 years now, moved back into the Village Square last year and was extremely well attended, so come out and enjoy that as well. That is it for the mayor's report. Now is the village administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. circulated a copy of the report at the beginning of the meeting and also by email earlier today. Everyone's aware we have completed the budget preparation for 2026. The budgets were reviewed by council committees. Finance committee made a final recommendation before the holiday to council. We'll pick that up in an ordinance here in a few minutes. Adjusting for the new street levy fund, so there was 3.86 million in appropriations for that fund. The appropriations across all funds increased 2.25% over the original 2025 budget. So across all village expenditures did, in my opinion, a very good job of keeping that budget within control. The road and bridge street levy was approved by voters in November, so again, reinforcing that infrastructure focus for the village. I'll be meeting with the engineers here this week or early next to get a firm schedule for the repaving of Forest Fountain and Ivy, which is the first project in that levy timeline. We'll be circulating that information as soon as it's available. 5 bourbon hydrants remain to be replaced. There's 2 in Creekwood condominiums, 2 on Chester Road, and 1 on South Lake. Those are scheduled for replacement beginning on Wednesday of this week. Notices of water service disconnection were sent out in the email newsletter and then also sent out to property owners directly. And then we're also continuing with leaf collection. The leaf truck's been doing a great job, even in the rainy weather, of picking up leaves that are out at the street. So, unless there are questions, that is my report.
Okay, thank you, David. Next are the committee reports. Madam Clerk, would you call the committees?
Finance Committee, please.
Finance Committee met, as everybody knows. We had a 3.5-hour meeting, so thank you for getting it all done in that one session. We're going to talk about this later before we vote on the budget, so I don't need to get into the line items now. But when we left that meeting, it was we were projecting about an $85,000 deficit for next year, and we'll discuss. We whittled that down some in the last couple weeks, so we'll get into that here in a few minutes. And when we discuss that, David and I will throw out some different items that have been revised before we vote. And that's it, Becky.
Thank you. Fire Committee, please.
Fire Committee met on November 17, and the minutes are online, the village website. But during the meeting, Mr. Bessel announced that Assistant Chief Scott Lehrman had accepted the position of chief. That's kind of interesting. We talked about the commissioning of a new fire engine and actually got to see the fire truck. And of course, we worked on the 2026 budget. That's really it, but I am at this point honored to be turning over the mic to the new Chief Lehrman. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I emailed out our monthly report to all of you this afternoon, so you should have received it. It'll look a little bit different for the next few months because we added the new engine as far as the mileage on that, so it looks a little expanded, but until the old engine moves on, I still want to report out on that since we still have that vehicle in our possession. So like the mayor mentioned, we have our push-in ceremony this Saturday, December 6th at 10 a.m. All of you are welcome to attend, as well as the village. It'll be in conjunction with the holiday home tour as one of the stops for all the residents, and folks can see the new fire truck. And we'll have a short ceremony, about 10 to 15 minutes long, and then we'll move on from that. But that is my report. If there's no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Laws and claims, please.
Thank you. Laws and Claims met on November 12th, and during that meeting we discussed a number of items, including the issue of placing signs on Sharon Road at the railroad crossing, since there's been some parking congestion there with some vehicles that are oversized and making it difficult to navigate that corridor there. And we'll be working with David on getting those signs posted. Some already are posted, but more need to be put in there. We also had a meaningful discussion with Joe Moravec of the Glendale Urban Forestry Board, talking about individual, or I should say residents' rights, duties, responsibilities as to the trees that are planted in the right-of-way in front of homes. We had a discussion about explaining rights of way to residents, and also following up with what the Glendale Urban Forestry Board intends to do to generate interest and also have volunteers trained to do some pruning, cutting down trees, shrubs, that kind of thing, that block sidewalks, and how the Urban Forestry Board intends to do that. So it was a good discussion, and I'll be following up with David on Wednesday. We have a meeting to go over some of these things. And then lastly, in terms of the Glendale Legacy Foundation, that board meets next week, and we'll be talking about transferring some of the funds that have already been donated to the village for fire truck purposes. So I think that sums it up. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, please.
Parks and Rec did not meet this past month.
Thank you. Police Committee, please.
Police Committee did meet in November 10th, and we went over the budget. The police force is going to be at 8 full-time officers and 3 part-time in 2026, so they're at full strength. And we discussed some of the different items. We will get into one here a little later about the flock cameras. But for capital items, and next year there's going to be a new police cruiser that's ordered, a replacement LiDAR laser unit, did I say that right? Right. And a new gun safe. And it gets a little complicated on the general budget, as we discussed in the finance meeting, but the school resource officer is all going to be shown in 2026 now, instead of part this year and part next year. So we discussed that, and Mayor's Court, and again, we'll get into one of those items in a few minutes here, and the chief is next to me.
Thank you. In the month of November, we did complete the hiring process for a new officer who will be replacing Officer Williford, who resigned at the beginning of November. We were hoping to have that done tonight. However, his physical paperwork did not get back in time to where we could get it on the agenda. We completed the written portion of the sergeant's exam, and will be conducting a panel interview with 3 sergeants from other departments coming in to interview our 3 candidates. The police department was able to assist with the Presbyterian Church and delivered 25 food boxes and gift cards to residents in need for Thanksgiving. We also assisted 5 or 6 other families that reached out to us from other communities with a connection to Glendale, and provided them with gift cards to go grocery shopping. There were a couple homes, vacant homes in the village that were entered, and there was some property damage at those properties. The investigation is pending. We don't have any leads on who may have been responsible for it. In this time of year, we want to remind everyone that the porch pirates will be out trying to steal packages left on porches. If you are expecting a package, please remove it from your porch as soon as possible. The Police Association received over 30 requests for Christmas assistance so far. We will be taking 25 children to shop with a cop on December 19th at the Walmart in Evendale. Others will be taken care of by community members who stepped up and offered donations. And anyone needing assistance for Christmas or coats for the winter can reach out to Lieutenant Barber to see what kind of assistance the Glendale Police Association can offer them. All officers completed taser and pepper ball recertification, and we had 2 officers attend advanced training, 1 attending critical incident management, and another attended active shooter response training. And that is my report.
I have a question.
Sure.
you said there were a couple of break-ins in the village? 2, 3, or something like that?
It was, I want to say it was 2 homes on Church that were vacant. One of them had been entered multiple times, it appeared.
So that's why there's no indication of theft or
Right,
loss to
'cause-
theft on the, okay.
'cause they were
It was-
vacant.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, next.
Okay, public buildings and historic preservation, please.
Public Buildings and Historic Preservation met on November 6th. We discussed the budget for next year, and other items of interest were, we discussed audiovisual equipment for this room, where we are right now, so that next time we need to make a town hall or a public presentation, we have appropriate equipment to share with you visually. And then we discussed some slight changes to council chamber to make them more user-friendly. And that is my report.
Thank you. Streets, public improvements, and lights.
The Streets Committee met on November 13th. We discussed the budget that was then forwarded to Finance Committee. We discussed some topics surrounding pedestrian safety, vehicular speed through the village. There's an update on once Congress Avenue is repaved by ODOT next year, some improvements to pedestrian crossings and making those more noticeable on that street. So those are some of the things that are happening, where we've had what's called a speed study is being completed to help us gather information on driver speed in the village and how we can use that information to help inform other measures that we can take to try to slow down traffic or improve safety. So that is still in process. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Utilities Committee.
Utilities did not meet in November. I have nothing to report until next committee meeting, which we'll try to get in before the end of the year.
Thank you.
Okay, the treasurer's report was circulated by our treasurer who could not attend tonight. Are there any questions about his report? Okay, hearing none. Go to the clerk fiscal officer's report. Do you have a report, Madam Clerk?
You should have a copy of all of the financial reports for October. As we're approaching the end of the year, obviously, we don't have the reports finished until after the end of that month, but we have a large debt service payment that happens, I believe it's scheduled January the 1st, right? So you're going to see some large expenditures to kick off the year. So keep that in mind as you're looking at the reports at the end of the year. So it is an expected debt service. It's a good way to start the year.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
We need to have acknowledgement of the reports, please.
Oh, okay. Is there acknowledgement of the reports circulated by the administrator's office?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Moving on now to old business. Ordinance 2025-49, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Society of the Transfiguration for the establishment of a school resource officer and declaring an emergency. This will be our second read, and currently, we have sent a proposed memorandum to the Society of the Transfiguration. They have responded with some comments. I don't know if, just recently, I don't know if we've had a chance, David, to analyze those.
Yeah, the solicitor and I discussed their proposed changes, and they're all relatively minor. We have a few questions out to a few different organizations and resources to get clarity on a few of the minor points. But my understanding is that we're very close on the language of the MOU between the village and Bethany.
Okay, that's good. All right, any questions about this ordinance? And again, this is our second read. The next item is new business item, a resolution 2025-26, a resolution establishing the street levy fund, a special revenue fund for the accounting of funds received as a result of the road and bridge levy. David, I'll let you explain this one.
Thank you, Mayor. So as everyone's aware, the road and bridge levy on November's ballot did pass, and we will begin receiving the property tax payment for that levy with the January 2026 distributions. Anticipate seeing a large sum of that before, likely in February, once tax bills are finally due. And because this is a special levy, it's for a specific purpose. State law requires that we establish a special revenue fund to account for that money. This appears in the upcoming budget ordinance at the very end of that special revenue fund summary sheet. We had discussed it as a capital fund as part of the Finance Committee meeting, but have moved it to better align with state law requirements to a special revenue fund. So all activity, including the grant funding that we'll be receiving next year for those repaving projects, will be running through this specific fund. So it's going to be a very, very active fund. Appropriations for next year are about $3.86 million. So.
Okay, thank you. So is there a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
And is there a motion to dispense with the three reads?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion regarding this resolution? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
For Resolution 2025-26, to dispense with the three reads, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemith.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
For Resolution 2025-26, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemith.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That ordinance or resolution passes. Next is ordinance 2025-54, an ordinance adopting the 2026 appropriations of the general fund, special revenue funds, village plan and general improvement fund, and enterprise funds, providing wage adjustments and declaring an emergency. This is essentially the budget that was brought forward from the Finance Committee to adopt that with some changes that were made. Mr. Kreidler, would you like to
Sure.
give us some additional information here?
Sure. When we met on the 19th as the Finance Committee, as you know, the goal is always to get to balance, and we were showing about an $85,000 deficit by the end of that meeting. Excuse me, there have been a few adjustments. Also, keep in mind, remember, the county holds back 3% of the property taxes. So this year, we've collected all of it, almost all of it, whereas last year, about 60,000 was held back. So hopefully next year, if we could get that full amount like we have this year, that deficit would be substantially lower, almost, close to balance. And before we discuss these line items, David, in the last 2 weeks, did we get the deficit down to about 60, negative 65? Is that?
We did. Currently, looking at the summary of all the appropriations, the total anticipated deficit for the general fund in 2026 is $129,500. The reason for that is because we don't anticipate having any of the SRO expenses in 2025, so we're moving them entirely into 2026, which increases the deficit. The SRO fund increased by about $62,000, $63,000. So backing that out gets our deficit down into that mid-60 range for 2026. The benefit is that our 2025 forecasted deficit has decreased by that same amount. So rather than spending the money in 25, we're planning on spending it in 26.
Okay, and as we discussed in executive session, there were some compensation issues. There were some capital items with the police and fire. Actually, police wasn't operating, that was the flock camera. And when the police committee met, we had not yet had our full finance committee meeting. So we talked in the finance committee about trying to go with 2 cameras again next year instead of the 4. I'm going to call for a police committee meeting in the next month or so to discuss that at length. But that potentially could be about $7,000 in savings if we stuck with the 2 instead of the 4 cameras. And then the other item was the Councilman Bay Smith talked about fuel. We could save some fuel in some of the different operating budgets. And so I know we changed that. We revised that after our finance committee meeting. And then there were some of the VPGI and capital expenses that are still going to be looked at. For example, a new SUV and the chipper for the streets crew. We're going to get into those in the first quarter of next year. But other than, besides all of those, do you have on your numbers, David, do you have a total number for the deficit as of right now?
For the general fund?
Yeah.
So we're currently at 129,500. If you adjust for those SRO expenses, which was about 62,800, I updated my sheet. We're at about 66,700 for anticipated for next year. That incorporates the changes that you discussed, Will, about the removal of the additional flock cameras for the time being, the adjustment of fuel, which totaled about 5,500 across all general fund departments. We were able to move a number of items from the general fund to other funds. Specifically, one that comes to mind is some of the fire equipment, the rescue helmets and road flares are now in a fund that receives revenue from traffic accidents and traffic cleanup costs that are attributed to those that are involved in those accidents, and that revenue comes in directly to village, separate from the general fund. So that helps relieve the pressure of the general fund. But we are on pace at this point. Our original 2025 budget deficit was 82,800. So we're in a position of pretty significant reduction, I think, and did some good creative solutions to meet the service needs while using some other sources and other funds to cover expenses for 2026.
Okay, thanks. And just so the rest of council understands, the school resource officer is a wash. Even though David's talking about a negative 129, that is a complete wash next year.
We're fully reimbursed for any expenses related to that, are we not?
The only expense that we're not immediately reimbursed for would be the police cruiser. The cruiser would be divided up over the 3 years of the agreement.
Reimbursed over a 3-year period for that?
Correct. So we anticipate receiving, based on the current MOU, 130,000 in reimbursement next year. We have 161,000 in anticipated expenses, and that includes that cruiser. So we will be seeing some potential for, in the beginning, in the first year, we will have basically outpace our reimbursement. However, as the agreement goes on, then that cruiser will be that cost will be made whole. And we'll be back to essentially break even at the end of the 3-year period.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Second. And is there a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
Which ordinance is that?
2025-54. And then, was there a motion, a second for the 3 reads?
Second.
Okay, second. So discussion about this issue now that about this ordinance now that it's on the table.
Yeah, but it's enterprise.
Questions or discussion?
Also. Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
It's my understanding that there has been a change in the organization of the enterprise, and that Kevin Bell is now spending half his time with the maintenance, the village operation of that type. In looking at the personnel budget, personnel revenues, it shows $605,000 budget for 2026.
Okay.
That's the combined budget of the water department and the sewer. Total 605,000. Last year it was 561, so it's up 44,000 approximately. And I thought that the enterprise would now have a title director, and then how many, there's one half person less. We have, Kevin is now half person and his two staff.
Okay.
So I'm not sure I understand how it got to 605,000
Yeah.
with
I will,
half of Kevin Bell's salary to be paid by the village
okay.
general fund.
My understanding, and I might need David to help clarify, is Kevin Bell salary is currently split between general fund and enterprise.
Yes.
There was an individual that whose salary was increased there to become more involved in the water department duties, and that was an increase in salary for that person. And these were covered in our finance meeting, but I want to try to reiterate those. And David, can you explain what else is going on in this budget?
Certainly, I think the most significant reason for this adjustment is that we are simplifying the distribution of personnel costs between the general fund and the enterprise funds 50-50 between all employees, all administrative employees that interact with the enterprise. So that would be myself, the village office staff, and then Kevin Bell as Public Works Director. So all employees are being split 50-50 between the general fund, whatever department they exist within the general fund, and then the enterprise funds split 25-25, obviously, between water and sewer, for a total of 50-50 for all village employees who are currently split between the two.
I'm sorry, speak up a little louder, please.
That all village employees that have some split between the general fund and the enterprise funds have been adjusted to a 50-50 percentage split. So myself and the remainder of the office staff, and then Mr. Bell as Public Works Director, are all split 50-50 of their salaries. So there is a slight increase on the utilities salary because of that change, but it is a simpler, more straightforward way to account for the amount of time that those employees spend working on both the general fund operations of the village and then the enterprise operations for the village.
I find it difficult to see how the budget went up 44,000 with half of the most expensive employee in the enterprise being half his time being spent in general. And I don't agree, like to understand better how half of everyone's time, their salary is being paid by the enterprise. It doesn't, I don't understand that. comment by the treasurer at one point, estimating the number of hours required for billing now is a matter of a couple of days. And so that's once a quarter. I don't know precise numbers, but certainly then half of the remaining time shouldn't be billed to administrative costs, to be billed to the utilities department enterprise.
Was previously the billing and the invoicing and the receipts are typically duties that Spencer would carry out? And what was his previous split?
50/50.
50/50, and he's remaining at 50/50?
That's correct.
But I have not seen that much of an improvement in our billing, given that we have very few people who are taking advantage of online billing, and we're still stuffing envelopes with invoices, and he's still receiving checks. I don't think anyone is doing the online payment, hardly.
We've seen some improvements through either expanded online payments. We have a check reader in the village office now, which is a significant time savings.
That
from
helps.
Traveling to and from the bank. But realistically, the amount of time that's spent between the actual work of entering the readings versus what goes into preparing and distributing the bills, and then collecting payments, addressing questions, sending late notices, all of those steps still are a significant amount of time for Mr. Hawkins. Then additional employees as well. We did an evaluation of not only just the number of payments between the funds, between general fund and enterprise funds, but we also looked at the fact that about 98% of our receipts are recorded to the enterprise funds, and that by dollar amount, we actually, about 55%, so a little more than a 10% gap, a 10% difference between the enterprise funds and the general funds for total dollar expenditures. So looking at it and trying to, for the size of our office, come up with what was the most straightforward distribution, 50/50, given the amount of time that village staff spends on the operations and management of the enterprise, as well as other tasks, was the most reasonable and most straightforward way to divvy up those responsibilities, or those salaries.
Okay. Well, given the amount of work that we've done with water and sewer this year and anticipate going forward, I do not see any issue with your time being split 50/50. That the water seems to absorb more time than any other type of infrastructure work that we do. More engineering, more planning, more research. It's just something that takes up more time. Okay, any other questions or comments about this ordinance?
I don't want to get into a debate about it. I don't. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion, and for the ordinance, we have a motion and a second to dispense with the 3 reads. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll for this ordinance?
For ordinance 2025-54, to dispense with the 3 reads, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Hey,
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
For ordinance 2025-54, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
hey,
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so that ordinance passes. Next is ordinance 2025-55, an ordinance confirming the mayor's appointment of Rebecca Terrell as the clerk of council and for the village of Glendale, establishing compensation and declaring an emergency. Mr. Lumsden, would you give us a little background on this?
Certainly. In June of this year, council passed ordinance 2025-21, abolishing the elected positions of clerk and treasurer and moving to appointed positions. This ordinance addresses the appointment of Ms. Terrell to the position of clerk of council, responsibilities including, among others, what Becky is so good at doing and so well known for, preparing minutes, circulating the meeting materials, meeting minutes, and offering a certain type of signatory for the village in we'll say, legal and ceremonial affairs. So this would appoint Ms. Terrell to that position, would also establish a stipend that is included in the budget that was passed with Ordinance 2025-54 of $100 per month, and that would go into effect upon her appointment on January the 1st, assuming passage.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
And is there a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions? All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
For ordinance 2025-55, to dispense with the 3 reads, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth. Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldrich.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
For ordinance 2025-55, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldrich.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
Thank you.
That ordinance passes, thank you. Next is ordinance 2025-56. An ordinance confirming the mayor's appointment of Denise Stamen as finance director for the village of Glendale, establishing compensation and declaring an emergency. David, again, could you give us background for this?
Certainly, Mayor, thank you. Again, in June, in the same ordinance as the clerk of council position, council voted to eliminate the voted positions of clerk and treasurer, and under Ohio Revised Code, transition to the appointed position of a finance director effective January 1st, 2026. And mayor's appointment of Denise Thiemann is that in that position, she would fulfill the responsibilities of the fiscal officer of the village, be responsible for receiving, preparing financial statements, representing the village as the financial signatory, doing audit reporting, working with the auditors when they come into the village, as well as managing the village's investments and responsibilities with the state and county. The ordinance here does establish a compensation for Ms. Steeman at $100,000 per year. That is again included in the budget from the ordinance 2025-54. It also recognizes that she has had 9 years of continuous public service in a similar position, both with the village of Silverton and then also with us since she was hired in 2022. This appointment will become effective on January the 1st. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. Is there discussion about this ordinance or questions? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion for the ordinance, a motion for the dispense with 3 reads. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
We don't have the,
We don't have the motion?
we don't have the motions yet.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought we did.
No,
Okay.
you have them for me, but not.
I'm
for-
sorry, is there a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All right, is there a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, now we can call the roll.
For ordinance 2025-56, to dispense with the 3 reads, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldrich.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
For ordinance 2025-56, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldrich.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
Thank you.
That motion passes. Next, ordinance 2025-57, an ordinance authorizing and directing the village administrator to enter into an agreement with the city of Sharonville for emergency medical services and declaring an emergency. David, would you please give us background on this?
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. As we discussed in the fire committee meeting last month at this point, we're having a renewal of the agreement with Sharonville, 3% for 2026, which is very, in my opinion, very competitive, given that we did have a 0% increase 1 year in our current life cycle of working with Sharonville to provide EMS services to the village. This would authorize me to enter into the same agreement that we've had with them every year since we started working with them at that increased price, monthly payments of $6,344, and they will provide the same level of service that they have been providing for us. I don't know if Chief Lerman has anything you'd like to add, mention about Sharonville?
Sure. Excuse me. It's been a really good relationship working with them over the last 3 years, and just being with the folks on the runs, their level of professionalism is very obvious on the scenes, and we're happy to have them be a partner, so thank you.
All right. So is there a motion for this ordinance
So moved.
Second.
and a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion or questions about this ordinance? Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
For ordinance 2025-57, to dispense with the 3 reads, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth. Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldrich.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
For ordinance 2025-57, Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth. Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldrich.
Aye.
Ms. Fleury.
Aye.
Ms. Rochelle.
Aye.
Thank you.
That ordinance passes. This brings us to near the close of the meeting. At this time, I would like to recognize both Nancy Masenko and Jeff Baysmith, who chose not to run in the election this year, and I think have earned a well-deserved break from this council. But certainly welcome you back to the January meeting if you would choose to come. It's not mandatory. Might be a nice send-off and a nice handoff to the new council people. But in recognition of their service, Nancy, 2 terms?
Yes.
And Jeff, 2 terms as well? Or
1 plus.
1 plus? All right. Can we have a round of applause for our 2 public servants? Thank you very much for your service. And with that,
Mr. Mayor, did we need to go over the schedule, or is that
oh my goodness, yeah, I forgot the calendar. You know, this was punted from us
almost done?
to us from our,
Almost out of here.
David, can you tell us what we would typically do on with this calendar?
I will tell you what I don't want to do, and that's have the meeting the Monday after a holiday again. So looking at April, July, and September, we're in a situation where typically the meeting would, I assume the meeting would fall on that first Monday as they typically do. But given the fact that April 5th is Easter, and given the fact that July 4th is that Saturday before the meeting, just wanted to give council an opportunity to take a look at the calendar, and if there's any kind of suggestion, feedback, recommendation on general availability for alternative dates. Typically, when these kinds of conflicts occur, the meeting would either be moved to the next Monday or the prior Monday. So for April, that would be March 30th, July would be June 29th, and then September would be August 31st. Alternatively, we can move it to the next Monday, so then the 13th, the 13th, or the 14th, or if we're feeling especially adventurous, move it to another date within that week after the holiday, like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. But I don't, there's a reason that's the 3rd option that I listed, so.
14.
I have a question.
Yes.
Might be a silly question, but are we actually mandated to have a monthly meeting? There's no option to split the difference, have 1 meeting within a 2-month span?
You can just elect to have one canceled and have like a special meeting as a makeup that carries all the same formalities otherwise.
Okay.
Okay.
We're not under any, I would say, not under obligation to make a decision right here, right now, tonight. My, I guess, first recommendation would just to be to move it to the Monday prior. Of course, that would leave pretty small gaps between prior month's meetings. But then again, moving it to the Monday after would also do that for
It has
the
the
upcoming
same,
meetings.
almost the same effect, yes.
So, not sure if there's strong feelings one way or another. We have 3 months to decide, at least that, to get through January, February, March.
But we're so good at punting things.
We are, so, we
Well,
are
then
so
no
good.
one can leave until we pick.
I mean, I'm gonna say, I think we do March 30th, and then do what we gotta have, so that takes care of April. And then, since we haven't had one in April yet, we go ahead and do
No, we're looking at,
the 20,
you're moving
I'm moving too
three.
fast. So the one on the 30th would be for April, right?
That's right.
Right.
So we could do that, and then we're looking, we got the end of June, we got the beginning of July. What if we do the 29th and call it good?
My,
Do you have a
well,
problem with that?
no, my only, well, no, my only thought would be that if we do move the July meeting to later into the month, then year-end, 6-month financials would be
A mess?
immediately available for that, what would be a later July meeting.
So do you want to do this, do you want to do the 6th or the 13th?
13th.
That would be the
13th 's fine.
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah,
to, I don't want to try to butt them up against holidays, just
Yeah.
because of, so let's do the 13th for
Let's do
July.
the 13th, let's get this done. All right, let's look at,
Look at
we're
Amy
looking
go.
at September.
Jeez.
So the,
All right, we know nothing's happened in Labor Day. Can we do that meeting on the 31st?
Let's do that on the 31st.
All right, bing, bang, bomb, we got it.
so it's March 30, July 13th, August 31.
This is Labor Day.
March 30th, nothing in April. July,
13,
13
August
on
31.
August 31.
Sounds fine to me. That is done. All right, is there a motion to adjourn now?
Many talents. So moved. Let the record
Waiting for
show.
a second.
fine, I'll
adjourn.
second it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
I gotta